All right, we are in Leitchfield, Kentucky at the National Fiddler Competitions, Twin Lake National Fiddler Competitions. Caught up with the legendary Rob Pearcy. Rob, when I first met you was in 1994 down at Rough River.
Oh, good Lord, that's a long time ago.
That's been a while.
Yeah.
The first thing I noticed about you was that hat.
Yeah.
What's the story on the hat?
The hat, well, actually I had a buddy that worked at a restaurant in Nashville and had these broad brim hats with a big old turkey feather sticking out of it. And he gave me one of the hats when he worked there, and I thought, that's kind of cool. So I started wearing that. Kind of stuck over the years,
Well, that's the first thing I noticed. The next thing I noticed was you playing that guitar and how many people you actually played with.
Yeah, if you back up somebody that wins the contest, then all of a sudden everybody wants you to play with them,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened there. I started hanging out with the good fiddle players, and next thing I know, everybody's wanting me to play rhythm guitar with them,
Yeah. So do you remember what was the first festival and what year it was that you started doing this?
Okay, the first festival I ever went to was the Smithville Fiddlers Jamboree at Fiddle, Tennessee, down around Smithville near Crookville, Tennessee. And actually, I won a contest the year before. They had in Murfreesboro. They had a contest to see who could play the guitar the longest. So I played for 4.5 days, 106 hours, 20 minutes, and won an Alvarez DY85 Alvarez Yari handmade guitar.
Yeah.
I think it was worth about $1,000 back then, 1979. And then so I won that guitar, and I've been playing electric guitar all up until that. And I thought, well, this is a poor rock and roll instrument. I said, I need to learn how to do some of this flat picking. I've been hearing about Doc Watson. So I ordered his albums at the store where I'd won that guitar, and I thought, oh, this is something else. So Fretz magazine came out that same year, the first issue, and it had Salt Creek written out in tablature.
Yeah.
I learned to play that tune, and I already kind of knew a little bit of from being a kid. I learned Under the Double Eagle and Wildwood Flower, those tunes. Some of the old timers that asked me, can you play the Under the Double Eagle with the Wildwood Flower? I said, no. And they said, well, then you can't play guitar. So it made me mad. I went home and learned them,
So you got back to the roots of the music then.
Yeah.
So you've answered my second question and my third question. So what tune or tunes are some of your favorites?
Well, Kentucky Waltz has been real good for me. I got to playing that. I was playing with an old fiddler, and he named Dick Crawford, and he played really pretty waltzes. And his hoedowns were pretty fired up too. But we'd be warming up, he'd be playing a waltz, and we'd crowd to gather up, and people would be openly weeping listening to him play. I thought, well, now he said, yeah. I started trying to play a little bit of waltz, and he said, well, you can hear the sound of your guitar much better than instead of playing all this jazz stuff. I thought, well, that's a good idea. So I kind of copied a little bit of what he did on the Kentucky Waltz, and he did on the fiddle, kind of figured it out on the guitar, and started winning contests playing that Kentucky Waltz. And went on to learn some more waltzes too. I did Kenny Baker's Festival Waltz and Westphalia Waltz and Lonesome Moonlight Waltz, all the good waltzes. I thought, well, I got this is something I like doing,
Yeah.
And these young guys are so fast, I can't race with them anymore. So I said, I can't pick them. I might out pretty them, with a good waltz.
There you go. Yeah, I kind of did that with Waylon Wood, when I did the harmonica. Man, he could go so fast, and I just couldn't hang with it.
Oh, yeah.
So I would do the slow ones, and he would always come up to me and say, what slow one you doing, Jones? And I said, well, it don't do me no good to ask what fast one you're doing.
Yeah, he was wide open,
Yeah. Let's see here, Mike.
This is on the right.
As a multi-instrumentalist, which instrument is more used?
Well, I have to say guitar,
Guitar.
I've had a lot of success with the mountain instruments too. Right after I won that contest and got into acoustic music, I wound up falling into a job selling dulcimers at the Outlet Mall in Murfreesboro in an open-air kiosk. So about 50, 60 hours a week, I'd stand around this little counter in the middle of where people walk by playing a mountain dulcimer. We had a bunch of them there, and we sold kits and small ones. And so for a year, that's all I did was play the dulcimer and sell the darn things. And,
Yeah.
And Tut Taylor's son run that shop, and Tut played the dobro with Norman Blake, and he also played the dulcimer. And he played a different style. He played with a flat pick, and he did kind of cross picking like Jesse McReynolds. And so I kind of learned to do a little bit of that with the dulcimer. And started going to these contests, and everybody else was strumming, and I was picking, and I got to where I was winning a lot on that, So I thought, well, that's cool. Something that paid the money a little bit on the festivals,
Okay, so what's the most memorable event you have attended and why?
Most memorable event. Probably that Smithville Jamboree. I was playing one night with Mr. Crawford and Jeannie Richardson, who's gone on to fame and fortune with his sister Sadie Band. I think they're Grammy Award winners now and all. But she was just a young'un. She was a real good fiddle player even as a teenager, and turned out to be a fiddle off between her and Nick Crawford. And they let them play. They both played Orange Blossom Special with one of their tunes in the finals. And it was the weather was terrible. It rained. We was about to drown. But I remember he just lit the crowd up. So when he played, people just went nuts. And that was probably playing guitar with him.
Yeah,
that's probably the most memorable. People still talk about that. Yeah.
Some of them they just stick with you, don't they?
Yep.
For someone looking to perform at the competition level, how much time do they need to plan to spend on their instrument daily?
A lot. I mean, you can come out here and play, but if you want to win, you're going to have to put some work in it,
So too much ain't enough.
That's right. I kind of lucked out. After I got to playing, I got a job as a music teacher at public schools in Nashville. So we have started a class up there called Instrumental Techniques in Folk and Country Music. So I was on an advisory committee for them, and then they finally drafted me in to come in, be a teaching assistant. And then they said, I wasn't making much money as an assistant. They said, well, you need to finish up your education and get your teaching certificate. So I went to school at night while I was working there in the daytime. I got my teaching certificate. It jumped me up the pay scale pretty good. And so I was playing guitar in front of class, high school kids, every 5 days a week, hour and a half long classes. Back to our guitar winner today, Adam Wright.
Adam, yeah.
I met him up at Rough River and told him about my program in Nashville, and he moved to Nashville and studied guitar with me for all 4 years of his high school career.
Yeah.
And, I had a guitar in hand at least 8 hours a day, every day for 20 years. So that was good practice.
Yeah.
And, teaching, although at some points like, well, I'm teaching the same stuff over and over, but I had advanced students that kind of branched out with that too,
Right. So. And Adam actually won today in that category.
Yes, he did. He won the national championship in 2001. We went out to Winfield, Kansas, and he won it out there. And I think he financed his college education by winning guitars and selling them.
Yeah. Yeah, he's quite the guy.
Yeah, where he goes, he's hard to beat.
So where can people keep up with you at? Do you have a Facebook or maybe an internet page or?
Yeah, we have a thing called the Slim Chance Band page on Facebook.
Okay.
So I have, I'm kind of like the poor man's Bill Monroe. I have this band that we've had probably, 50 different members in the band. It depends on what day of the week it is, who's in that band with me.
Yeah.
Right now, my band, without me, is over in Croatia doing an international folk music festival right now with two of my former students, Sarah Harris playing fiddle, and Jeff Hardaway, who's another flat beat guitar player that I had at Electro.
Yeah.
And so they're over there doing that. That's pretty cool. So so all our goings on is Facebook, the Slim Chance Band.
Yeah. So guys, you heard it here at Roots Music Review, and we are so thrilled to get to interview you for Roots Music Review because you are one of the main components that are keeping roots music alive today. And I've watched you do that since '94. You've been doing it since way back further than that. And I'm really thrilled to have you in this interview.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. When I went to that jamboree back in the early '80s, it was I hung out with the old timers under the shade tree, and I tell them, I said, yeah, I learned a lot of music from there, and then led to my teaching career. Led to 3 times going to Europe and playing, doing this kind of music. I said, well, yeah, I learned from the old timers, and now I am one.
All right, guys, go check it out. Slim Chance on Facebook. Also, Roots Music Review on both Facebook and YouTube. Give us a like and follow us, and subscribe to Roots Music Magazine. Thank you, guys.